Cold doesn't care about stone walls, thick cloaks, or bravado. It creeps up from below, steals your heat, and drains your strength. The Vikings learned that lesson the hard way, and what they discovered under their feet more than 1,000 years ago is still outsmarting modern homes, modern armies, and even World War II winter planners. This isn't about fireplaces. This is about the floor, the most ignored battlefield in the war against cold. For the Vikings, winter wasn't a season. It was a campaign. Long, dark, brutal, and unforgiving. They didn't have central heating, they didn't have insulation foam or double glazing. Yet they survived winters that killed livestock, froze fjords solid, and turned travel into a death sentence. Their secret wasn't magic, it was engineering. Quiet, practical, ruthless engineering focused on heat retention where it mattered most. Cold air sinks, heat rises. Lose heat through the floor, and you're finished. Vikings understood this instinctively. Modern homes often forget it completely. Viking longhouses weren't built on bare stone or exposed earth. That would have been a death trap. Instead, they layered the ground like armour. Packed earth came first, carefully compacted to remove air gaps that could invite frost. On top of that came thick layers of organic material: straw, grass, reeds, sometimes seaweed, whatever trapped air and stayed dry. Air is insulation. You know, the Vikings didn't know the physics, but they mastered the effect. These layers created a thermal buffer between frozen ground and human life. Heat from fires and bodies stayed inside instead of bleeding into the earth. This wasn't comfort. This was survival. Concrete slabs are cold monsters. They wick heat straight into the ground. Even today, millions of homes lose up to 15% of their heat through poorly insulated floors. Vikings had 0% heating bills and still solved the problem. Their organic floors flexed with the seasons, you know. They absorbed moisture without collapsing, and they trapped warmth without sealing the house into a mold factory. This is where modern design stumbles. We chase high-tech solutions while honestly ignoring low-tech wisdom that already won this fight centuries ago. Viking homes were low, intentionally. Heat doesn't rise if it has nowhere to go. Fires burned centrally, often without chimneys. Smoke escaped slowly through roof gaps, but the heat lingered. This concept showed up again during World War II. Troops in cold theatres learned quickly that raised sleeping platforms, layered ground insulation, and low-profile shelters preserved heat better than open tents. Manuals emphasized insulating the ground first, not the walls. Same lesson, different century. Vikings didn't stand around in winter. They sat, slept, worked close to the ground, but not on it. Raised benches, wooden platforms, and layered bedding kept bodies off the cold floor while still benefiting from the insulated base beneath. In World War II, soldiers learned the same lesson in frozen forests and snow-covered plains. Direct contact with frozen ground caused rapid heat loss, fatigue, and even death. Field solutions involved pine branches, straw, spare clothing, anything to break contact with the earth. Vikings had built that principle into their homes permanently. Cold plus moisture kills faster than cold alone. Viking floors weren't just warm, they were dry. Organic layers wicked moisture away instead of trapping it like modern plastic barriers sometimes do. Airflow beneath and within the layers prevented rot while maintaining insulation. This balance is something modern construction still struggles with. Seal too tight and you trap damp. Vent too much and you lose heat. Vikings found a middle ground that worked for centuries. Speed, cost, convenience, pour a slab. Build up, done. Floors are an afterthought. Insulation gets added later, if at all. But, ancient builders started from the ground up because they had no backup plan. If the floor failed, people froze. This mistake showed up repeatedly in World War II housing and barracks that were rushed into construction. Cold floors drained morale and efficiency. Retrofits had to be added later, often under fire, at great cost. You don't need to live in a longhouse to use this knowledge. Insulate beneath floors aggressively. Use layered systems, not single materials. Think about air trapping, not just thickness. Raise living and sleeping areas slightly above the coldest surface. And, stop assuming walls matter more than what's under your feet. History doesn't repeat. It rhymes. And honestly, the rhyme here is loud. Winter shaped wars. It broke invasions. It stalled advances. From ancient Scandinavia to World War II battlefields, cold decided outcomes long before bullets did. Understanding how people fought winter is understanding how they survived history itself. The Vikings weren't just raiders. They were masters of environmental warfare. They beat winter not with fire alone, but with intelligence built into the ground they walked on. Modern homes still ignore that lesson. Armies once paid for it in blood. If this kind of hidden history fires you up, you're in the right place. Subscribe to 0 Hour World War II, share this with someone who thinks insulation is boring, and, hey, drop a comment. Because the real battles are often fought where nobody thinks to look. Underfoot.